The void of space was an unrelenting abyss, swallowing light and hope. Inside the abandoned space station, Zalara navigated the crumbling corridors, her heart a drumbeat of desperation and determination. The once vibrant hub of interstellar trade now lay in ruins, a ghost of its former self, its metallic skeleton creaking under the weight of abandonment. Frayed wires hung like forgotten memories, and the air was tinged with the metallic scent of decay. "Stay close to me, Lyra," she whispered, her voice a soft melody against the oppressive silence. The child's tiny hand slipped into hers, the warmth a fragile lifeline. Lyra's luminescent green eyes mirrored the starless void outside, wide with curiosity and trepidation. "What do you see, Mama?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Zalara's heart ached at the innocence in her daughter's question. "I see echoes of a past life, sweet one." With each step, she remembered a time when the station pulsed with energy and laughter. Now, it was merely a tomb for dreams unfulfilled. They turned a corner, the dim glow of emergency lights casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. Suddenly, a noise, a clatter followed by rough voices, shattered the stillness. Zalara froze, instinctively pulling Lyra close. "The scavengers had found them, did you hear that?" One voice growled, filled with the menace of desperation. "They can't be far. Search every corner." Zalara's pulse quickened, panic tightening its grip around her throat. "We need to hide," she murmured, urgency coloring her words. They darted into a nearby storage room, the door creaking ominously as it closed behind them. The darkness enveloped them like a shroud, but Zalara's breath came in measured gasps as she listened intently. "Where are you, little aliens?" the scavenger taunted, laughter dripping with malice. Zalara gritted her teeth, her mind racing. These were not mere thieves, they were predators, hungry for more than just scraps. "Please, Mama, I'm scared," Lyra whispered, her small voice trembling. Zalara felt her heart swell with fierce love. She had to protect her daughter at all costs. "Shoo, my light," she whispered, brushing a lock of dark hair from Lyra's face. "We'll be okay." But deep down, she could feel the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her. They were lost, stranded in a universe that had turned its back on them. Just as the scavenger's footsteps grew louder, Zalara noticed a flickering light from a vent above. Inspiration struck. "Hold on to me tightly," she instructed Lyra, determination surging through her veins. As they climbed into the vent, Zalara could hear the scavengers bickering below, unaware of the danger creeping above them. They crawled through the narrow duct, heartbeats racing, the chill of metal pressing against their skin. Emerging into a dimly lit chamber, Zalara's heart sank. Before them lay the remnants of an old maintenance bay, tools scattered like bones. But hope flickered within her. This could be their chance. A chance to survive. Suddenly, a shadow fell across the room. A figure stood in the doorway, silhouetted against the dim light, a man, human, and wary. Zalara's breath hitched in her throat as their eyes met. "Who are you?" he demanded, voice gruff yet edged with curiosity. "We mean no harm." Zalara replied, gripping Lyra's hand tighter. They were strangers in a cold universe, but perhaps this encounter held the key to their survival. The stranger stepped closer, his posture both cautious and intrigued. Zalara could see the flicker of recognition in his eyes, a reflection of her own desperation mirrored back at her. He was tall and rugged, his features defined by shadows and the dim light filtering through the broken walls. As he examined her, she felt an odd mix of hope and wariness. "Are you alone?" he asked, glancing over Zalara's shoulder, searching for her daughter. We're just trying to survive," Zalara replied, her voice trembling slightly. "I'm Zalara, and this is Lyra." She could feel the protective instinct swell within her, a fierce energy that coursed through her veins. "We were abandoned here after the mutiny." His gaze softened momentarily at the mention of her daughter, who clung to Zalara's side, eyes wide and shimmering with fear. "Mutiny?" he echoed, and for a brief moment, the tension in the room dissolved, replaced by a shared understanding of loss. the man crossed his arms, his brow furrowed in thought. "I'm Marcus," he said finally, his voice low and steady. "I know this place. It's a graveyard for lost souls." "What happened to your crew?" Zalara asked, curiosity piquing despite the circumstances. "I was left behind," he said, the pain of abandonment etched into his expression. "They thought I was a liability. Just a mistake." There was a pause, heavy with regret. "Now I'm just trying to survive like you." Zalara felt an unexpected kinship forming between them. A bond forged in the crucible of their shared isolation. "We need to get out of here," she said, her determination igniting once more. "The scavengers are hunting for us." Marcus's eyes narrowed, scanning the dimly lit chamber. "Then we better move fast. This place is crawling with them." As they maneuvered through the debris-strewn bay, Zalara felt a strange flicker of hope for the first time since their arrival in this forsaken place. Together, they scoured the room, searching for tools or equipment that could aid their escape. "Here," Marcus said, uncovering a rusted panel with a series of blinking lights. "This controls the main access hatch. If we can get it open, we might find a way to the lower levels and escape." Zalara knelt beside him, her heart pounding as they worked side by side, fingers dancing over the cold metal. She felt a rush of adrenaline as the hatch finally began to budge, creaking as if reluctant to part from its long-held secrets. "Just a little more." Marcus grunted, his muscles straining. Zalara pressed her palms against the panel, the heat of his body close beside her sending unexpected shivers through her. Finally, with a groan of protest, the hatch swung open, revealing a darkened passage leading deeper into the bowels of the station. "After you," Marcus gestured, his voice steadied despite the chaos outside. Zalara took a breath, steeling herself. "We can do this, Lyra," she whispered, feeling her daughter's hand squeeze hers tightly. As they stepped into the darkness, the air thick with tension, Zalara could hear the distant echoes of footsteps, the scavengers' laughter like a sinister melody chasing them through the shadows. Together, they plunged into the unknown, united by their desperate need to survive in a galaxy that had turned its back on them, and with each step, the fragile thread of hope tightened, weaving a new story from the remnants of their pasts, one that might just lead them to freedom. The corridor stretched before them like a gaping maw, dark and foreboding. Zalara took a deep breath, steadying her racing heart as she led Lyra and Marcus into the depths of the abandoned station. The flickering lights overhead cast ghostly shadows on the walls, warping the twisted metal into grotesque shapes that seemed to reach for them. "Keep your voices low," Marcus whispered, his tone a low rumble as he scanned the shadows for any sign of danger. Zalara nodded, her throat tight with tension. She felt Lyra's small hand gripping hers, a constant reminder of the stakes they faced. As they ventured deeper, the echoes of their footsteps bounced off the walls, mingling with the distant sounds of scavengers searching for them. Zalara strained to listen, trying to pinpoint their pursuers. Each footfall felt like thunder in her ears. "Which way?" she asked, glancing back at Marcus, who was peering down a branching corridor. "There's a service elevator at the end of this hall," he replied, his eyes narrowing in concentration. "It might still be operational. If we can reach it, we might find a way to the surface." They moved cautiously, Zalara's pulse quickening with each step. The dim light revealed the remnants of the station's former glory, faded murals depicting interstellar trade routes and vibrant alien markets. Now, those images felt like a cruel joke, memories of a life they could never return to. Suddenly, a clatter echoed from behind them, followed by raucous laughter. The scavengers were closer than they had anticipated. "Run!" Marcus urged, urgency slicing through the tension. They broke into a sprint, Zalara's heart racing as they rounded the corner. The service elevator loomed ahead, its doors half closed like the mouth of a predator waiting to swallow them whole. "Push it!" Zalara yelled, urging Lyra forward. They reached the door, and Marcus shoved it open with a grunt, the ancient machinery protesting as they slipped inside. Once inside, Zalara pressed the button for the top level. Please work," she whispered, panic rising within her as the doors began to close. Just as they did, she caught a glimpse of shadowy figures rushing towards them. "Hold on!" Marcus shouted, bracing himself against the wall. The elevator jolted to life, the machinery grinding and whirring as it ascended. Zalara pressed Lyra close, shielding her from the imminent chaos. "We're going to be okay," she reassured, though uncertainty gnawed at her heart. As they rose, the distant sounds of the scavengers grew faint. The air within the elevator felt thick with tension, each moment stretching into eternity. "Where do we go from here?" Lyra's voice was a soft tremor, her innocence piercing through the gloom. "Anywhere but here," Marcus replied, his voice a calming anchor. "We'll find a way to safety." Finally, the elevator shuddered to a stop, the doors creaking open to reveal a stark corridor bathed in harsh light. They emerged into a narrow hallway lined with shattered glass and debris, the remnants of lives once lived. "Let's go," Zalara urged, leading the way as they raced down the corridor. She felt the weight of every decision pressing upon her, her daughter's safety, Marcus's fate intertwined with theirs. Just ahead, a hatch loomed, marked with a faded insignia. Zalara's heart soared. "That could be our escape," she said, urgency sparking through her veins, but as they reached it, a roar echoed from behind them. The scavengers had found their trail again, relentless in their pursuit. "Go!" Marcus shouted, shoving Zalara and Lyra ahead as he turned to face the oncoming threat. "I'll hold them off." "No!" Zalara cried, panic clawing at her. "Just go." His voice was firm, filled with a strength that pushed her forward. With one last glance, she pushed through the hatch, dragging Lyra with her. The weight of uncertainty settled heavily on her shoulders as she stepped into the unknown, praying that whatever lay ahead would lead them to freedom, and perhaps a chance to start anew in a galaxy that had once felt so hostile. And behind her, the darkness roared, but so did the fire of hope ignited in her heart. Together, they would find a way to navigate the chaos of the universe, side by side, against all odds.